The biggest problem with crab cakes is that you don't want a lot of filler because you really want to enjoy all that flavor of the crab. But at the same time, you need some filler to help the crab hold together while it cooks. Today, I'm going to show you a hack that will allow you to use just a little bit of filler and the crab cake will still hold together while cooking, so you get that perfect balance of filleted crab and it tastes delicious. And as always, I will give you my favorite recipe for the crab cakes today. You can print that out at mariesaba.com. I'm also going to tell you a few things to look out for in other recipes that can sabotage your crab cakes, so you're not going to want to miss this. All right, let's get started. Okay, the first ingredient is panko, which is just Japanese breadcrumbs. If you don't have panko, you can use traditional breadcrumbs or you can crush up some Ritz crackers or saltines. All right, we're gonna start with 1/4 cup panko breadcrumbs, and that is so much less than most recipes. Most recipes use at least 3/4 to 1 cup, which I think is way too much. So just 1/4 cup breadcrumbs is all you need. Next step, we're going to add 1/4 cup grated Parmesan cheese, and this adds flavor, salt, and also helps to bind the crab cake together. So one of my favorite ingredients, kind of a secret ingredient. We're going to add that Parmesan cheese. Next step is 1/4 cup Hellmann's mayo. You definitely don't want to use something like Miracle Whip or any of the sweet mayonnaises. Hellmann's or Duke's works great. Next, we're going to mince some green onions, and I only use the green part. The white part is a little bit stronger, and I like all the flavors in a crab cake to be nice and mild, so not a really strong onion flavor. Some people will use a full white onion, but then they'll cook it, but I think that is unnecessary and just an extra step. So the better thing to do is just use some green onion and just use the ends, don't use the white part, and it won't overpower the flavor of the crab. So we're going to just mince up about a tablespoon here. This also adds some good color. Love that green. Now we're going to add that to our bowl. Next step is about a tablespoon of your favorite herb. It could be dill, which is what I have here. I often use basil, tarragon, or parsley. All of those will work. Now with dill, there's really not a lot of big stems here, so it's really easy to mince up. I'm just going to tear off these pieces, and then we're just going to mince that up here. Next, we'll add 1 teaspoon Old Bay seasoning, and you should always keep this in your pantry. It'll last forever, and it is so good with crab cakes and really any seafood. So 1 teaspoon of Old Bay, and Old Bay does have salt in it, so I do not add any extra salt to my crab cakes. Next step is 1 egg. This will really help the crab cake hold together as well. And now for the final ingredient before the crab, we're going to add the zest of 1 lemon, and this lemon's pretty big, so I'll just probably do about a half of it. Just using a zester here. The reason I love lemon zest is that it adds so much good lemon flavor, which is great with the crab, without adding a lot of liquid. I see a lot of recipes that add lemon juice, and I think that is a big problem because it makes your crab mixture really watery, and that is going to make it even harder to hold together. So don't use the lemon juice. You can garnish with a little at the end. Instead, use the zest. You can put your kids on this job. This is one of the earliest jobs that I had my daughter do, and she loved zesting lemons, grating carrots, things like that. So there is our lemon zest. Now what we're going to do is mix these ingredients together. I see a lot of recipes out there that say don't mix these together, or you don't need to, just go ahead and add your crab, and I think that is also another big problem. If you have to really mix like the egg in and the crab in at the same time, you're going to break up all those pieces of crab. So go ahead and mix these ingredients first, then add your crab. All right, let's talk crab. This is lump crab meat. I don't buy jumbo lump. That tends to be just way too expensive. This, I think, is a great compromise. It's got some lump. This is actually this lump blend. Now, what we're gonna do is, you always want to smell your crab. Make sure it smells just like crab, like the sea, nothing foul. I have purchased crab before that was rotten, so you want to give it a smell. It should not smell bad. I've been teaching this recipe for probably over 15 years now, and I've gotten probably every question imaginable, one of which was, what if you don't have any crab? And in my younger days, I was kind of shocked, like, why would you want to make crab cakes without crab? But now that I'm older, wiser, guess what? You can sub in salmon if you like. I have salmon cakes. It's the same recipe on my website, mariesaba.com. Same exact recipe, except I add some whole grain mustard because I think that goes really well with the salmon. But yes, you can make crab cakes even if you don't have crab. Use 1 pound cooked salmon instead. Now, back to our crab cakes. So this is really important. You don't want to just dump this in. One reason is there could be some liquid in here. You don't want to add a lot of liquid. You don't want to water down your crab cake, as I've already mentioned. And the second more important thing is that you do want to pick through the crab. There can be little pieces of shell or cartilage in there, and you want to be sure to pull those out. So just gently, you'll just use your fingers and kind of go through the crab like this, feeling for anything, not breaking up any of the big pieces, but just kind of feeling, see if you feel anything that's pokey or hard, and you'll just want to pull that out. This all feels really good. That looks like something there. I'll take that out. All right, that was great. There was really nothing in that. And now we're just going to kind of fold this together, bring it together. Okay, this looks good. Now you can see this is still, I mean, just barely holding together. There is not a lot of filler in this. So let me tell you the hack for helping this hold together while you cook it. What we're gonna do is shape it into patties and then freeze the crab cakes for about 15 minutes. That chill will help everything hold together while the crab cake cooks. Now we'll shape these into patties, and I just use my hand. I don't measure with anything, and I make these on the smaller side. I make about 15 patties for this amount of crab. Some people like to make them bigger. If you're making entree sizes, you could certainly do that. Mine are more the size of, say, kind of a big golf ball. And then I flatten them out a little bit into the patty like that. And we're just setting them on a baking sheet lined with some parchment. This is going to go in the freezer, so you can use, you know, a plate or whatever you like. Just something to set them on that they won't really stick to, so you can grab those out of the freezer. Now I'll take these to the freezer and let these freeze for about 15 minutes. While we're doing that, we can make up the remoulade sauce. Okay, so for our sauce to go with the crab cakes, first I'm going to show you a lemon dill sauce that's so simple. We're going to start with some Greek yogurt. I use full-fat Greek yogurt. I'm going to use about 1/2 cup. Some people like to use all mayo in their dipping sauces, but I really prefer to cut it with the Greek yogurt. So now we'll add about 1/4 cup of Hellmann's mayo again. And this sauce is so simple. It's delicious on salmon or chicken. Now we'll need about 2 tablespoons lemon juice, and I'm just using the lemon that we used for the crab cakes. Next step, we'll take our remaining fresh dill here. Just pick off the big stems. We're going to need about 1 tablespoon fresh dill. Tarragon would also work well in this. I find tarragon's a little bit harder to find. Dill always seems to be the easiest, or basil. Mince that up real well, and we'll add that to our bowl here. Next step, we'll need some kosher salt and freshly ground pepper. And if you like, you can add a little bit of whole grain mustard. I'll do about 1 tablespoon. It adds some nice texture and flavor. Then we're just going to give that a whisk. And this is ready to go. Again, it's great with salmon. It'll be great on the crab cakes and also on chicken or pork. It's a delicious sauce. Now that I've shown you how to make this really easy lemon dill sauce, let's make it a little bit fancier into sort of a remoulade sauce by adding some capers, pickles, ketchup, Old Bay seasoning, kind of dress it up a little so you have options. So to this, I'm going to add another 2 tablespoons whole grain mustard. Lots of good mustard flavor in there. Next, we'll add about a tablespoon of ketchup. That adds a little bit of sweetness and also some nice color. Now I'm going to add some sweet, spicy pickles. They're bread and butter pickles, but with a little bit of spice. So we get both flavors there. We get some spice and sweet in our sauce. Just going to mince these up. We'll add our sweet and spicy pickles in there. And if you like it spicier, you can add cayenne or hot sauce, of course. Next, I'm going to add some capers. Nice tang and salt. Mince these up. Looks good. We'll add that in and give that a quick stir. Have a quick taste. So good. All those flavors combine so well. Okay, the crab cakes are fresh out of the freezer and they are nice and chilled. You see they hold together very nicely. They're not falling apart. So now we're going to cook the crab cakes, and I'm actually going to show you 3 different methods. The first method is in the oven, and all these methods have pros and cons. My favorite thing about cooking them in the oven is you can cook them all at once. You don't have to stand by the stove and flip them like you do if you're pan frying them. They're already all at once, so you can serve them. It's also very contained. It's all in your oven. There's no grease splattering everywhere, so love that. The only kind of downside a little bit is I think on the pan frying you get a little bit better sear on the top and bottom, but I'm going to show you the best way to kind of compensate for that in the oven. What we're going to do is we're going to take some olive oil, a couple tablespoons here, and put that on a baking sheet. This is actually too big of a baking sheet because I'm only going to cook about 4 of the crab cakes, so I can show you each method. But if you were going to do the whole batch, you'd need a full-size baking sheet like this. Cover it with olive oil. We're going to put this in the oven at 425 for about 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. You just want to get the oil nice and hot and the pan nice and hot, and that is going to help you get a sear on the crab cake when it goes in the oven. So pop this in the oven for about 5 minutes. Okay, it's been about 4 minutes or so. I'm going to grab that hot pan out of the oven using oven mitts, of course. Be careful, it's all going to be very hot. We've got hot oil and a hot pan, so be careful. And now what we're going to do is take our crab cake and set it on this hot pan with the hot oil, and that's going to give us a little bit of a sear. So right there, you can hear the sizzle. 2, we'll do 4. Normally I would do all of the crab cakes at once, which is one of the things I love about this method, but I am going to show you 2 other methods to cook the crab cakes. So just 4. We're going to pop this back in the oven for 8 minutes, then we'll flip the crab cakes and do 8 minutes more. All right, well those are cooking. We're going to grab my air fryer here and hop over to this method, which is my favorite method for a lot of reasons. One, it's all very contained, it's easy to clean and use. If you don't have an air fryer yet, reach out to me. I will tell you which air fryer to get and give you a lot of recipes to start with. I love my air fryer. What you're going to do for the air fryer is simply preheat that to 400 degrees for about 5 minutes. That'll get it nice and hot, so when we add the crab cakes, we'll get a nice sear on the top and bottom. Okay, the air fryer is just about preheated, so we'll open that up. You can drizzle a little olive oil on the bottom if you like. Then we'll add our crab cakes, and again, I'm just gonna add like 4 or 5. We'll pan sear the rest. We can show all the different methods. Add a few of these in there. There we go. Now I'm gonna drizzle with some olive oil on top of the crab cakes as well. And then we're going to cook that for about 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, I hear the oven batch is ready to flip. These look great. Smells so good already. I'm using a fish spatula here. I'm just going to flip these over. Oh, and you can see I did get a nice brown sear. So this technique is working really well, getting that nice hot pan. Flip that over. And these go back in the oven for 8 more minutes and they are done. Okay, now for the final method of cooking crab cakes, we're gonna fry some on the pan, a real shallow fry with just a little bit of oil here, heating up on the pan at about medium to medium high heat. When the oil is shimmering but not smoking, you know it's ready. We'll cook those for about 4 minutes aside. Now I'm just going to flip these with my fish spatula here real carefully. Flip that over. Nice brown sear, nice and golden. Everything's holding together so far. Looks good. In about 3 or 4 more minutes, we'll just pop these off. Okay, our crab cakes are officially done. All 3 methods. We've got our pan seared here. Now we'll add our oven baked. These are just a little more dried out, the oven baked ones, which is okay with me. And then here are our air fried cakes, and you can see they are fairly golden all the way around and a little more fried, which again is okay with me because the method is so easy. It's just a little bit different. Now we'll add our homemade remoulade sauce. Next, we have some lemon wedges, of course, to add on there. And you can garnish with a little fresh dill for some color since we have that in both the sauce and the crab cakes. Thanks so much for joining us on Marie's Kitchen. Today we made these easy and delicious crab cakes cooked in 3 different ways with a hack so they don't fall apart while you're cooking them. They were so easy. I really hope you get to try it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Leave me a comment if you have any questions or let me know if you like this video. I would love to hear from you, and I personally respond to all the comments. You can also email me, marie@mariesaba.com, or go to my website, mariesaba.com, for this recipe and all my recipes. You can print them out, put them in a notebook, and make your very own Marie's Kitchen cookbook for free. My goal is to give you some really easy recipes that turn out great every time so you can build some confidence in the kitchen and feel really inspired to share good food with people that you love. From my kitchen to yours. Thank you.